Hello everyone, I'm Dimitra Teleriti from the European Central Bank, and today I will present you the sustainable finance indicators which are part of Block 5, the new block we created on climate-related statistical indicators of the ESCB. Quickly, this is the outline of this presentation. I will start with some background information on the sustainable finance indicators. The main focus, of course, of this presentation is on the micro and macro data on sustainable finance at the ECB. And last, we will have a look at the data themselves. It was in 2021 when the Governing Council of the ECB decided on a comprehensive action plan with the aim to further incorporate climate change consideration into its monetary policy framework. In this context, it was decided that, among others, we shall develop new statistical data which would allow for climate change risk analysis. We decided the development of three types of indicators, indicators on green financial instruments as they were named back then, carbon footprints of financial institutions, as well as their exposures to climate-related physical risks. In September 2021, we started working on the development of the sustainable finance indicators as they were back then renamed. It is a common project by the ECBDG Statistics in collaboration with the European System of Central Banks. Not long time after, in January 2023, we disseminate the first experimental indicators on sustainable finance, and since then and until today, we continuously work on enhancing the data with more breakdowns, and in the meantime, we upgraded the sustainable finance indicators to official ESCB statistics. Moving to the main part of the presentation and the micro data on sustainable finance at the ECB, we collect and load ESG micro data in the CSDB, in the Centralized Securities Database. The CSDB is a security by security reference database for debt securities, shares, and mutual funds. In case you would like to have some more information on the CSDB, you may refer to Block 4 and Lecture 2 on security by security databases. Let's see now what type of ESG data we have at the level of each individual debt security. First of all, we collect and have available the ESG data classification. We cover the four main sustainable categories of debt securities. These are being green, social, sustainability, and sustainability linked. The definitions we use for each one of these categories are the following. Green sustainable debt securities are the debt securities whose proceeds are used to finance green projects. Social are the debt securities where the proceeds are used in order to finance social projects. Sustainability are the debt securities where the proceeds are used to finance a combination of both green and social projects. These three types of sustainable debt securities are so-called use of proceeds instruments. Then we also cover the sustainability linked. These are not use of proceeds instruments. Here, the issuer commits in future improvements to sustainability outcomes, and there are no restrictions on how the proceeds can be used. In the financial, though, and structural characteristics, for example, the coupon rates, can vary depending on whether the issuer achieves predefined sustainability objectives. A part of the ESG classification, we also have at the level of its sustainable debt security, the so-called assurance level. We cover three different levels of assurance. First of all, self-labeled, in the sense that the issuer labels its bond, for example, as green, whether the sustainable debt security has received a second party opinion. Here, a second party, we have listed below some well-recognized organizations that offer second parties, provides a verification of the issuer's sustainable issuance framework, and a third assurance level are the certified sustainable debt securities, where a third party certifies the sustainability framework of the issuer. These assurance levels are not mutually exclusive. What that means is that one sustainable debt security can be at the same time self-labeled, may have received a second party opinion, and might even be certified. We also have information on alignment with standards, and we cover the most worldwide standards. For example, the ICMA Green Bond Principles, the ICMA Sustainability Linked Bond Principles, etc., the European Green Bond Standard, the Asian Green Bond Standard, and others. As with the assurance level, the standards are also not mutually exclusive. That means that one bond can comply with multiple standards. Moving now to the microdata. On the basis of the ESG microdata that we have in the CSDB and we showed in the previous slide, we compile aggregates on issuances and holdings of sustainable debt securities. And what we aim with this data is to give insights into the funding needs of sustainable projects and the demand for these securities as investment opportunities. Issuances of sustainable debt securities in the euro area and the EU are part of the so-called CSEC data set, and as such are published on a monthly frequency. Data on holdings of sustainable debt securities in the euro area are part of the security holding sector data set, and as such are published on a quarterly frequency. For both products, we compile aggregates for all 4 sustainable categories, classifications that we saw before. So the green, social, sustainability, and sustainability linked. And we currently compile aggregates for 2 assurance levels. One considering all sustainable debt security, and a more strict one where we restrict the universe to those sustainable debts that have at least a second party opinion. As I said also at my very first slide, we continuously work on further enhancing the sustainable finance indicators on debt securities by adding more breakdowns. One of the new ones that will come is a breakdown for issuances and holding under the EU Green Bond Standard. And in the overall area of sustainable finance, we are working on developing indicators on green listed shares. We have concluded with the definition. We will consider the listed institutional units which have 50% of more of their revenue coming from activities that are green. Our plan, our aim is that we release these indicators somewhere in the course of 2026. Let's move on to the data, and let's see in this slide we have the euro area issuances of sustainable debt securities. Is the chart on the left hand side of this slide, considering all levels of assurance, and you can see also breakdowns by sustainability category. What we observe is that since January 2021, the issuances of sustainable debt securities by euro area residents have been steadily increasing, and it reached around 1.6 trillion euros amount outstanding in March 2025. It was at the beginning of 2021, 450 billion euro. Despite this growth, the relevance of these instruments in the overall debt securities market is still rather small. 7.4% of all debt securities issued in the euro area. This you can see with the black thick line on the chart at the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, we see a chart that shows us the share of euro area issuances of sustainable debt securities with a second-party opinion, again broken down by sustainability category. As you see, in particular, the green line, which represent the green debt securities, virtually all green debt securities issued in the euro area have a second-party opinion. This slide focuses on holdings, on euro area holdings of sustainable debt securities, again considering all levels of assurance and broken down by sustainability category. The trend is the same for euro area holdings as it was for euro area issuances. So since the beginning of 2021, there is a continuous growth in the holdings amount of sustainable debt by euro area residents. And despite this continuous growth, still they remain a minor portfolio item. Actually, with the thick black line, we see that 7.6% of all debt securities held by euro area residents are sustainable debt. Similar also on the right hand side, we see that most of the sustainable bonds held by euro area investors have obtained a second party opinion. There are two more slides, one on the issues and holdings of green now only debt securities by individual euro area country. I will go very quickly through it. It's residents in Germany, France, and Netherlands, left-hand side, that are currently the leading issuers of green debt securities in the euro area, whereas residents in France, Germany, and Luxembourg are the biggest holders, as you can observe on the right-hand side. And now we have breakdowns by sector. On the left-hand side, we have the issuances, and here we see that government followed by banks are the main issuers of green debt in the euro area. And as far as the holdings is concerned, it's investment funds and insurance corporations and pension funds that are the main two sectors holding sustainable debt in the euro area. One last slide. It's a very useful one. It gives you the links, some important links. The first one is a link to the ECB website where it takes you to a methodological note we produce that describes in detail all climate change related statistical indicators and the sustainable finance ones. The second link is again from the ECB website with some more information, and also it gives you an overview of the data of sustainable finance indicators on debt securities that we just saw. And last and most importantly, where you can have access at the data through the ECB data portal. Thank you very much.